As of 2024, the origin of Skeletor in most media is that he was once Prince Keldor, half-brother to King Randor, uncle to He-Man. However, this was not the origin for Skeletor when Masters of the Universe debuted in 1982. The character of Skeletor has his roots in a story written by Mark Taylor called The King of Sticks. Written while he was in college, roughly 1971, the character would later evolve into the evil Lord of Destruction we know as Skeletor. Early designs were far more mummified than the version that appeared on Mark Taylor's B-sheet, which would go on to be the version made into the prototype when the line was still known as Lords of Power. Skeletor would go through more refining before reaching the version that arrived on store shelves in 1982. These early concepts for Skeletor were referred to as D-Man or Demon. Contrary to current beliefs, the character that would become known as Demo-Man was not an early Skeletor concept, but another character created by Mark Taylor altogether. In the first wave of mini-comics, the backstories are vague at best, more concerned with setting up the basic play pattern than digging deep into the lore. He-Man is a member of a jungle tribe who leaves his people due to the call of adventure. And Skeletor is from another dimension, populated by others of his kind. The Great Wars open a hole between dimensions, enabling him to access the dimension where Castle Grayskull resides. It's worth noting that in these first 4 mini-comics, Eternia does not yet exist. The Masters of the Universe battle for the secrets of Castle Grayskull in an unnamed world. It is not until the Story Bible by Michael Halpern, dated December 1st of 1982, that the world is given a name and Skeletor is given a little bit more of a backstory, one that is still not Prince Keldor. In the Story Bible, Eternia is named and is given a sister planet, Infinita. Infinita is unknown and unseen by Eternia. Its orbit is precisely the same as Eternia's and always lies directly opposite, perpetually shielded by Eternia's sun. This dark twin planet is presented as Eternia's opposite in every way. The people are barbaric and warlike, holding all of the universe as evil, and they're constantly at war. On Eternia, magic and sorcery made the world better. On Infinita, black magic and alchemy destroyed the world and people. One day, a great battle on Infinita results in a cataclysmic event of destruction that poisoned the planet and mutated the people, as well as creating a space portal that allowed the warlike people of Infinita access to Eternia. Some of the worst leaders of Infinita ended up on Eternia and attempted an invasion, one that was thwarted by the Council of Elders. They defeated the evil people of Infinita and sealed the space portal. However, it was known that the evil people of Infinita would one day return. Centuries passed until a space shuttle from Earth, piloted by Marlena Glenn and her team, Evelyn Powers, Biff Beastman, and Dr. T.E. Scope, encountered the cataclysmic explosion from Infinita. It finally reached the Milky Way after 1,000 years of traveling through space. Captain Glenn and her team were tossed across the galaxy. Marlena ended up on Eternia, and Evelyn Powers, Biff Beastman, and Dr. T.E. Scope ended up on Infinita. On Infinita's charred, misshapen surface, the 3 members of Captain Glenn's crew were transformed into their true evil selves. And when they awoke from these transformations, they were greeted by the sole remaining ruler of Infinita, Skeletor. Here on Infinita, Skeletor's lair was beneath the twin peaks of Snake Mountain. He seized upon his 3 new henchmen's newly released evil selves to launch an attack on Eternia, as Infinita was no longer able to sustain life, and they needed the air and food of Eternia to survive. Skeletor enlists them to help him break the portal, so they may once again invade Eternia and take the resources and powers they desperately crave and need. This origin of Skeletor is a little bit more defined than the original mini-comic origin, but it ties in and is close enough that it doesn't directly contradict the text. Mini-comics Wave 1 Skeletor access the dimension of He-Man and his friends via a space portal opened by the Great Wars. Mini-comics Wave 1 Skeletor access the dimension of He-Man and his friends via a space portal opened by the Great Wars. The Story Bible Skeletor accesses Eternia from Infinita via a space portal opened by Great Wars on his planet. He and the people of Infinita have been transformed by those wars, keeping in line with the others of my kind referred to in the Wave 1 mini-comic. In Filmation, Skeletor is referred to as a demon from another dimension. The existence of Infinita, while established in the Bible used by Filmation, is never directly established. Infinita does make it into several of the storybooks and other media, notably the Kid Stuff record, The Revenge of Skeletor, released in 1983. Here, Infinita is presented as an important location in the Masters of the Universe world, with Skeletor and his cohorts crossing the space portal and kidnapping Teela, and then threatening to throw her through the portal and through space to her doom until He-Man arrives to save the day. The Revenge of Skeletor is 16 pages long, counting the introduction page, and is in the same format of the read-along series of books from Kid Stuff records and tapes. The listener would follow along in the storybook, and then there would be a sound when it's time to turn the page. Later Masters of the Universe storybooks would feature full-color art, but these first 3 books were presented in black and white line art. The actor narrating the story is not credited anywhere in the book or in the record, but the story is delivered in a dramatic style similar to that which would have been used in radio dramas in the age before television ruled the airwaves. It's in that spirit that I've enlisted a narrator to read the book in a dramatic vocal style that would fit right in with the original production aesthetic of these Masters of the Universe read-along books. I even retained the sound that denotes it's time to turn the page. Retro Toy Princess presents a dramatic reading of 1983's The Revenge of Skeletor.
The Revenge of Skeletor. This is your Masters of the Universe read-along book. Every time you hear this sound, it means it's time to turn the page in your storybook. Now we are ready to begin. Open your book and we will start the story of The Revenge of Skeletor. And remember, when you hear the sound, turn the page. Deep in the farthest reaches of space, in another dimension of time and reality, there exists 2 worlds which orbit the same sun. One of these planets, a place of wonderment and beauty, is Eternia. Eternia is protected by He-Man, who guards his world from a demon of unimaginable evil who dwells on Eternia's sister planet, the dark and warlike Infinita. This evil creature is Skeletor. For endless years, Skeletor has plotted to invade and conquer Eternia. Until now, he has been held back by a sealed space portal that separated the 2 different worlds. But now, with the aid of his evil helpers, Evelyn, Beastman, and Triclops, Skeletor has broken through the seal in the space portal. The entire world of Eternia is in danger. The goal of Skeletor is to find his way to Castle Grayskull and to gain control over the wisdom of the Council of Elders. With this endless power and knowledge, Skeletor could control not only Eternia, but the rest of the universe as well. Many times he has tried, and many times he has failed. But now, Skeletor has a new plan. This is the Revenge of Skeletor. The evil Skeletor has made his way through the dangerous vine jungle and across the sands of time. He and his gruesome friends have found their way deep into the evergreen forest and are now lurking just outside the castle where He-Man lives, disguised as Prince Adam. Their plan: to kidnap Prince Adam's closest friend, Teela. The beautiful Teela was walking in the gardens near the castle when suddenly Skeletor and his friends leaped out from the underbrush. Although she is a brave fighter, she was overpowered by the forces of evil and was dragged away towards Castle Grayskull. When Prince Adam learned that Teela was missing, he knew instinctively that Skeletor was behind the disappearance. By using the Sword of Power, he transformed himself into the mighty He-Man, and with the help of his powerful feline friend, Battle Cat, He-Man charged off through the woods towards Castle Grayskull to rescue Teela and to see to it that Skeletor could do no more damage to this peaceful world. But as He-Man and Battle Cat raced towards Castle Grayskull, a plan for revenge was already underway. Skeletor had tied up Teela and placed her dangerously close to the space portal. If He-Man did not surrender the Sword of Power to Skeletor, Beastman, Triclops, and Evil Lyn were instructed to push the helpless Teela through the space portal and send her hurtling through space towards the surface of the planet Infinita. This would mean certain death for the young woman. When He-Man and Battle Cat reached the entrance to Castle Grayskull, they heard hideous laughter. It was the wicked voice of Skeletor, just as He-Man had expected. "Well, He-Man," shouted Skeletor sarcastically, "let's see what good all your power is now. One false move and your young friend Teela will find herself on my planet, Infinita. I don't think she will like it there very much." "Release her, you coward!" shouted He-Man. "Fight me man to man!" Skeletor just grinned with bony delight. "Not before you surrender the Sword of Power to me!" bellowed the wicked Skeletor. "I want that sword! I've seen its power in action! With the sword under my control, I will be unstoppable! I can gain control over Castle Grayskull and all the knowledge it contains!" His laughter echoed off the castle's rocky walls. Without a moment's hesitation, He-Man unstrapped the Sword of Power and prepared to hand it over to Skeletor. You see, He-Man knew something about the sword that Skeletor did not understand. The sword is only powerful in the hands of the defender of the planet. This was preordained by the Council of Elders long ago. In anyone else's hands, the sword is useless and causes unimaginable pain. The moment Skeletor reached out and grabbed the sword, it began to glow white hot. In an instant, it sent a bolt of pure pain wrenching through his body. In that same moment, Battle Cat raced towards Teela and thrust her up on his strong back. He flung his powerful body around and knocked Skeletor and his friends into the gaping space portal. They fell helplessly towards their home on the other side of the solar system. Battle Cat roared triumphantly as He-Man grabbed the sword and joined Teela on the cat's back. Together they charged towards home. They had proven once again that they were truly masters of the universe.
We've reached the end of another Retro Toy Princess episode. If you enjoyed this video, why not click the like? And if you'd like to see more videos like this, you should subscribe and set the bell notification. I'll have more videos exploring the history and lore of Masters of the Universe, as well as my other favorite toy lines from the 1970s, 80s, and 90s in the coming weeks. I'm Allison Choi, Retro Toy Princess, and I'll see you in the next one.